But not to say that all the Nintendo news that happened over the last week is has involved criminal activity or anything like that. One of the other big things that happened last week was announced out that just like everybody else is looking for the Switch launch on March 3rd. Everybody wants to play Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. That is the title right now to go ahead and play on that system when it goes ahead and it launches. Well, it was revealed out earlier last week. I believe it was revealed out on, let's see here. It was revealed out earlier, let me see here. I believe on the 13th that Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is going to have DLC. And it's going to, once it hits the stores and it's been released on the eShop storefront, is going to be available a season pass for all of the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC. Now, if you're familiar with the channels of both Grey Mouse and The Theme, you both know that they've done videos on this. Myself, I wasn't able to go ahead and get around to it because I was stuck doing things IRL, as you young millennials say it. But I have thoughts on it too. Before I jump into it, Grey Mouse, I know you were vehement about it, man. Go ahead and summarize what you said about it.
Yeah, initially I'm still don't accept this shit. I think it's bullshit. I was pretty hot under the collar. Throughout the 15, 16 games that Zelda series has been, I think all the way from 1986 up until present time, we never really needed DLC to finish the story or to tell more of the story. Like I said, I guess, my previous video on my channel was that I just didn't understand why they were going to do this and how they're going to do this through the eShop, whether it's going to, since it's a cartridge-based system, it makes it a little bit more difficult to do it. But like I was saying, the pretty much summarize it, I think it's bullshit that this whole thing is going on. And the fact that I wouldn't have a problem with it if it's just, a weapon or a shirt or some kind of cosmetic thing. But towards the end of the year, they're actually going to have more story for the Legend of Zelda. So you don't get to finish the story completely. So like March 3rd, they open it up on the eShop for $20. You could have your season. What is it? Season pass, I guess they call it.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. And it's like, so they do the season pass. I think you get a couple of different chests and stuff like that. And then as you go, and then you don't get to play it until summer anyway. So you're going to pay $20 up front. You're not going to actually get anything until summer, and then even past that, you're not going to get anything until the end of the year.
Let me go ahead and actually give you the details right now. If you haven't seen the news, folks, these are the details on the season pass. Basically, what's available right out off the bat, if you go ahead and get the season pass right up March 3rd, is that there are 3 extra treasure chests, right? Each one of them found in different areas, and they all contain useful items and also exclusive in-game clothing. One of them being a fucking T-shirt with a Nintendo Switch logo. All right, which is, now that I've actually read that out loud, I will make mention of that in just a second. But the second DLC pack, or the DLC pack number 1, is going to be available in summertime, and it adds new challenge area, the Cave of Trials. It adds new play mode, which is hard mode, and then there's an additional map feature. I don't know what that is exactly, but it's probably maybe, I don't know if I'm thinking, if I'm thinking about previous Zelda games before, maybe something else that may involve fast travel. I don't know, but that's how it's explained. And then DLC pack number 2 in the holiday season coming this year is that there's a new original story, there's a completely new dungeon, and additional challenges on top of everything else that's out there. Yeah, that's what it involves. So keep that in mind. $20. Go ahead and continue on with your thought, Gray Mouse, that you're at.
Yeah, it's bullshit. I mean, but am I surprised? No. People, people are saying that Nintendo should get with the times, and now they're getting with the times, and now Nintendo's like, whoa, wait a minute, you're the one who said that I should get with the times, like Sony and Microsoft. Why is all this, why is people all this uproar? It's just that, for you to do that to The Legend of Zelda, there's never been a DLC to a point to where it continues the story. That's where I just can't understand why you would do that. Why would you have downloaded content on Zelda? I mean, I guess that's why it's a sandbox game this time. I mean, I didn't, that was, and the sad part about this was so far distant in the back of my mind that they were going to do this to Zelda. I mean, I should have figured that out when they said it was going to be a sandbox Zelda. I mean, every sandbox game that we have on any of the consoles have DLC added onto it. But it, 1 and 1 didn't add up to 2. In my mind, I was like, nah, Nintendo ain't going to do that. And then, last week they dropped the bombshell saying that there's going to be downloaded content on this.
Yep. I think everybody has to realize that if you're a console or whatever platform you have, if it has some sort of storage device like a hard drive or SD card or something like memory cards that's sizable enough to go ahead and accommodate more than a DVD or more than a CD's worth of data and everything like that. If you have a system that has memory storage and it's online, then guess what? DLC is always a possibility for it, even portables. I mean, Sony's been doing that for ever since the first PSP. Yep. The thing with this, I would have to say that part of me is disappointed with Nintendo for the fact that in my eyes, even though I know that they already did it with Smash Brothers and Mario Kart on the Wii U, and Splatoon, was that in my eyes, Nintendo was the last bastion of hope, where they were the last holdout when it came to the first party publishers that didn't want to go ahead, that didn't jump headlong into the DLC market, that didn't jump headlong into microtransactions, that didn't jump headlong into all of this stuff. Call me old-fashioned, but like Grey Mouse, like Theme, like anybody else who's been on this channel, I love the idea of thinking that, hey, look, once I go ahead and I buy something and I own it, that's it. I have the whole experience. It's in my hand. But when I find out that, oh, there's other things that aren't included on this that are tied in with it, there's a large part of me that's like, well, why the hell don't I own it physically? Mm-hmm. However, there is another part of me that knows that probably at best 60% of anything that a developer, when they're making a game, at most 60% of the ideas that they first come up with when they're actually building the world and saying, hey, look, this is all the stuff that we want the game to do, at best 60% actually ends up in the finished form at retail, available to you on disc or on cartridge or whatever. Realistically, most of the games is probably only 40%. Less than half of the ideas and less than half of the things that they actually want the game to do are actually offered to you as a player actually shows up on that cartridge. And the truth of the matter is developers work hard. A part of me, when it comes to DLC, as long as it adds something substantial, and I feel that it's worth the amount of money that you're paying for it, then I don't feel too insulted. Okay, the obstacles that I see, or the places where I get offended with DLC is a couple of things. Number one, on disc DLC. I've said it before, I'll say it again. On disc DLC is bullshit. Okay, if it's on the disc and I paid for the disc, I should own whatever's on the fucking disc. Yep. Okay,
Fuck the paywall.
Within my rights, I should be able to use whatever's on the fucking disc.
Yep.
All right. That's number one. Number two, when DLC is twisted in a way to go ahead and be used to milk microtransactions where DLC is no longer, oh, this is additional stuff alongside of your core gameplay. No, this is the stuff that you need in order to go ahead and win, like matches or other shit. That's bullshit also. When DLC turns into a pay-to-win type window, that's bullshit, okay? When it comes to like cosmetic stuff and all that other things, I'm fine. People can go ahead and spend their money on whatever the hell they want to, okay? Yeah. I'm not going to go out of my way and stop anybody from spending their money. I've spent a lot of my own money on really foolish purchases, okay? Some more recent than others. But, you know, when it comes to a lot of this stuff, when it's true DLC that's actual content, and it's not cosmetic things or stuff that's really, really trivial, or stuff that, oh, hey, you can't win the game without this, all right, without spending the extra $10, or you can't be a real force in multiplayer without spending the extra $20 or something like that, then, you know, I don't mind DLC that much, especially when it comes to this. Because like I said, developers work really hard on their stuff, all right? And in my particular position, when I heard about the news and everything, I was coming home from work at 4 o'clock in the fucking morning when I really had time to sit down and talk and think about it. And guess what? I was like, these developers do exactly what the fuck I did tonight, but for months at a time, just to make sure that this game actually hits a retail date, okay? And a lot of them are on salary. They don't get paid overtime, you know? So when it comes to that, a lot of their bonuses, and depending on their contracts with publishers or whatnot, they may see a little bit of back end off of DLC, in which case it's like, dude, fine. You know, I mean, I remember, you know, expansion packs and everything else coming out for free on PC. And I know a lot of you people out there who are watching this probably do also. But the guys who went ahead and they did that stuff, depending on their relationship with their publisher, they may not have gotten paid for that. Mm-hmm. But they still had to do it, yeah. Which is kind of the reason why, you know, charges come up with DLC and things like that. So in this particular instance, like I said, I'm really torn because I don't like the idea of it, and I was really hoping that I can still run to Nintendo without having to worry about ever being laden with that sort of thing. But guess what? Like everybody has asked them to do, they've gone with the times. They are part of the modern game marketplace, so that's going to be part of their bag. All right. Whether or not you like it, that's going to be part of their bag. Okay. So in that case, I'm really, really sad. But, you know, here's the thing. If it turns out that that extra $20 gives me a reason to go ahead and play a game that I haven't picked up in months and really enjoy a brand new experience for multiple hours at a time, then I think that's worth it. Okay. It's either that or I can go and see a movie in IMAX 3D and spend $22 more than what the DLC season pass would cost, and my shit would be done in 100 minutes. You know, so return on investment. The only thing that really gets me about this, and you know it's gonna fucking happen, is that there is going to be a definitive edition of Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild released at the holidays. Okay. Probably at the same fucking price with all the DLC fucking bundled in. If not, then right after the holidays with all the DLC fucking bundled in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I understand why they wanted to do that additional content at the end of the year. That way it'll give people, you know, 9 months to actually get through the game.
It'll give them a reason to keep on playing the game throughout the whole year. I mean, granted, the game is made in a way that hopefully people will have a lot of time and a lot of space to go ahead and explore things and find things to do. But if you don't have that incentive in front of you right away, it should give them an incentive. Hey, look, guess what? By the way, October's rolled around. You've got that new dungeon. You've got that new story chapter. You've got more challenges to go out of your way to go ahead and fulfill. So I think as torn as I am on all of this, I don't think the timing is bad. I'd rather know about it up front. And I also see what Nintendo is going towards. Okay. And it's really, really smart. It's potentially it's going to make them a lot more money than just selling the game by itself. And
yeah,
yeah,
like you said, I mean, Nintendo, I have to hand it to Nintendo. I mean, at least they were up in your face and said, this is going to happen. You know, they didn't hide it behind. I mean, they could have waited until June, July, you know, before they decide. But no, you know, they wanted to go ahead and get this out. You know, like, yeah, there's going to be DLC for The Legend of Zelda, and I even mentioned that in my video. But yeah, I mean, I was pretty hot, but now that you know that I've had time to soak it up, and I understand. I you know, I'm starting to really understand. It's just that I just really didn't want downloaded content for The Legend of Zelda. I wanted to have that whole experience on the disc or on the SD card but I mean, if it's going to breathe life back into the game towards the end of the year in the November, December timeframe, where everybody's gone on to other games, and it's going to bring people back to that game. I mean, I understand it's brilliant for Nintendo if you really look at it from a business standpoint. If you're going to bring all these people back into your game in December, you know, because there's a new dungeon and there's additional story to be added. But to me, I think you really need to have, I'm not saying a full-size, complete new game type content, but there's better be a sizable addition to it.
You know what this kind of reminds me of is that it kind of reminds me of, here's the thing about it, okay, is that, guess what? This has happened to Zelda games before. All right. This happened to Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, with Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX. Mm-hmm. And it also happened with Legend of Zelda Link to the Past, and then a Legend of Zelda Link to the Past Advanced with 4 swords on the Game Boy Advance. So this has happened before. The saving grace on this is that they are not asking us to buy a whole other game to go ahead and actually see the upgrades or the updates. Heck, they did it with Wind Waker. Yeah. All right. The very, you know, the most recent of it, with Wind Waker HD, they went ahead, they added more stuff to Wind Waker HD for the Wii U, and they asked full price on that. So, I mean, this is the thing with this is that with it being upfront, the way that they've went ahead and presented it this time around, I don't have that much of a problem. I have other personal problems with it, but, you know, that's one of the things that I think I can go ahead and I can let pass in this instance. Maybe it's because I have a different view than a lot of general consumers. You know, that could be playing a part of my bias. But, you know, in this instance, like I said, if it's actually adding something to the story and you're not forcing me to do this pay-to-win bullshit, then I'm fine with it. You know?
Well, I mean, you know, one good thing, too, is like the developer said, I mean, right at the start, I mean, as soon as you put that disc in, you could go and beat the final boss.
Or you can make your way there, yeah.
Yeah, he said that you could go ahead and beat it, but he said good luck with that. But I'm just saying, that's what kind of world that you don't have to play a dungeon in order. It's like you have your own, you can do your own thing, which is good. Yeah. So I'm kind of wondering what this downloaded content story-wise is going to be. I mean, is it going to open up another part of Hyrule that we haven't seen? You know, I mean, we don't know. Is the map going to be increased? So,
well, considering that it says that it's including a new dungeon, most likely. You know, that's the thing.
I mean, my initial, like I said, I'll just go ahead and, you know, like I said, I was pissed. But then after the initial, you know, after I cooled off and started looking at it with a level head, I was like, maybe it's not so bad. You know, it's kind of a crummy move.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand. And then also, like you said, you know, it's like Nintendo was up in your face. They did not hide that shit. They're like, look, you know, and I got, like I said, you know, I'm just going on and on in circles here. But that's one thing that Nintendo did. You know, they're not like other companies where they'll hit you like right before, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I think the other thing that kind of puts this in perspective too, because the folks at Nintendo actually went ahead and responded about it. Let's see here. Bill Trinan, who is part of the Nintendo of America management team, okay, he actually did an interview with IGN, and he he went ahead and he responded to why they went ahead and decided to do that. And in his words, he said it was tough because we actually had a lot of debate in terms of, do we announce it or how do we announce it? Basically, do we break this news? I think one of the things that's unique about the way Nintendo develops games is that when we're working on a game, and certainly just knowing the history of Nintendo games, you guys know that it's essential that we use every last minute to make the game as good as we possibly can. And really what that means is that the dev team was working on the main game, finished the main game, and as they started to get up to the very end and wrap it up, they really said, you know, we made this massive world of Hyrule. We spent a long time building it. It would be a waste just to make one game and have that be it. Like I said, that kind of ties it together with the idea. My first point where I said that, you know, most AAA titles at most end up with like 60% of their ideas actually end up in retail form. In fact, multiple projects that I've worked on in QA for Activision, I can think of a lot of things off the top of my head that initially showed up, but guess what? Was end up cut from the game, and it never saw the light of day on the finished version because it didn't end up working out right, or maybe it was just one of those things where they're like, you know, given the time frame, we're not going to be able to insert this into the game and make it work. And that's
it's just like movies. I mean, does it really push the story or the narrative of the story ahead, or does it drag it down a little bit? So that's why you'll cut parts out of it. I mean, I fully understand that. And, you know, I mean, now that I'm level-headed, I don't agree with it. And, you know, I'm a big Zelda fan, but, I mean, if I have the desire to go ahead and do it and buy the $20 worth of content at the end of the year, you know, or get that bundle or whatever, I mean, that will be an option for me to do.
Yep. And, you know, that's kind of the thing that everybody coming up March 3rd when the Nintendo Switch launches out, and with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, that's kind of the thing that everybody's going to be faced with. Whether or not you get a hold of the DLC, whether or not you decide to say, fuck it, you know, fuck Nintendo up the ass for even doing this. You know, that's your personal your personal opinion, of which, guess what, folks, like usual, we would like to hear your comments on it. You know, thank you very much for coming up and watching us, as rough as we are up until this point, and following us up all the way to the end. If you have any thoughts on these particular two topics, you know, Nintendo, the Switch being leaked out, falling off the truck and showing up online in front of the world early before launch, or The Legend of Zelda actually having DLC already planned for it, you know, we'd like to hear your thoughts. Leave us a comment below, and while you're at it, click like, click subscribe. Every little like and every little subscription click, you know, it helps us out a lot. Yeah. You know, that's the type of efforts that we're dealing here. You know, because the thing is that every comment and everything else is the start of a brand new conversation. And the thing with every good conversation, it really doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with us, as long as you take what we say, you stop and you think about it, you know, we've actually accomplished something other than just entertaining you and filling up space. All right. With that, folks, we are the middle-aged guys. Well, for the middle-aged guys, because we don't have everybody in this video here, I am the Reverend.
And Gray Mouse 1.
Our bullshit on the fact that the Switch fell off the truck and was leaked out to the world, and also the fact that Legend of Zelda has DLC coming up when it launches on the 3rd. All that bullshit, it ends right here. Thank you for following us all the way up for the last 30 minutes or so, folks. We appreciate it. We'll see you later.